PR Connections Radio presents.
Did you know your clothing could help balance your body's pH levels? Our cutting-edge fabric technology naturally promotes optimal pH balance, helping you feel energized, refreshed, and at your best every day. Use promo code PRTalk for more info. Tap the link in the description or contact our experts at 702-445-9488 to learn more.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Liberating Menopause. I thank you all for visiting us here at prconnectionsradio.com. My name is Lisa Vasquez. I am your host. And so today, just change my camera this way a little bit. And I wanted to talk about, and we're continuing this study. On my last episode, I was talking diaper to diaper. We were talking about male hormones. And first of all, andropause and male menopause. There is no male menopause. It's just andropause. But today's subject is really talking about the paternity connection that hormonally connects to men when they are in proximity to their partners, when they are totally and emotionally invested. And our last discussion was about how we're losing billions of dollars or giving it back to companies that are giving to workers, male workers in the workplace, a paternity leave. I mean, the biggest thing is that there's 193 United Nations countries, and out of 6 to 8 of them, we're one of them, the United States, that don't usually pay a lot of paternity leave. And this is a big issue because there are some companies that have started up offering this. I know Google is a big one, and they have been testing and doing a paternity leave program where they actually afterwards pay for childcare also. So, and there's another company, I can't recall the name of it, but slowly it's reaching out to connect, because there is a real attachment and a physical attachment that men go through, and it's not being recognized. And because of that, there's no males when they come into a job. I mean, it's not like they're going to discuss having a maternity leave program on their list of benefits that they're going to receive, but actuality, in some cases, there could be. So it's really talking with your companies and asking, is this something that is being offered? Because having this type of leave, males don't really even know how these shifts, they're just chemical shifts that actually take place, and they're not being recognized because we talk about our hormones a lot more than men do, right? And in all my conversations, I really never went into details of each one of these hormones, but in this male situation, this $1 billion surrender, I really want men to understand, because again, we all need a pause, and men aren't taking their pause. They're not taking those moments because for some reason it can look like a weakness symbol, or it's a frightening thing about a career shift, because our whole structure has been guided toward women are the home caretakers and men go to work and do what they do. But because technology and society has changed so much in our structures, that it's time that this is really spoken about. And this is why, if I do not speak about it, we only consider that women are the hormones. And in fact, men really are hormones also. So this is not showing that these changes are completely normal. They're not a sign of weakness or actually, that's the biggest thing, is that a lot of men feel that that's like a step down in leadership, and leadership positions aren't really looking for somebody who wants to be taking care of homebody cycles. So, this is how the structure had looked. And in my last conversation, I was talking about maybe leaders actually take a paternity leave, but nobody's ever discussed it. And HR, doesn't announce it. And maybe in some bulletins, it can be announced as a discussion, because it's not just women in the workplace. This problem comes from, studies show that cohabiting with a partner can biologically stimulate hormonal changes in men, regardless of age. Because again, I wondered, from diaper to diaper, as I was saying, where does the line cross with men? Because they become, in their 80s and 90s, and they're still having children. So it's very interesting to learn about this, because regardless of the age, it suggests that, the proximity to the partner, the emotional bonding, and the strong triggers that are activated and stimulated in this emotional time, this emotional moment really brings out a whole nother side of hormonal changes that, again, I was saying, men don't really know that they have this attachment. This matters. The intensity of the systems, they correlate with men actually have, it's called a sympathetic pregnancy symptom, where they actually gain weight, or, they can have different challenges that they're going through because of their emotional changes in their hormones. When they have this relationship, and it's so wild how men actually are related in this situation. The paternal attachment, the deeper emotion investments, the stronger the stimulation of these hormones that will react. Expectant fathers undergo hormonal changes that can deeply influence the emotional presence of bonding, caregiving, and instincts. And these changes in a father's brain, they provide an insight into how parental insights develop. I mean, it's really interesting. When I was studying this and reading this, I worked with women so long that to see this side of it and what actually happens with men when men, have this activation, and why family leave is so crucial to men in this process. When men take leave, so many partners benefit. I mean, because this is birthing it's a serious issue. And as I look back on it, I have to go back to another one of my stories. Growing up, young pregnancies, seeing a lot of my friends in the neighborhood, a lot of young girls getting pregnant, seeing all these relations and imbalanced relations, I should say, because a lot of guys weren't really around. But the girls that had to carry through this pregnancy, it was so nonstop, and it was so like it's just like such an easy process to do, because young girls and teenagers today still, I haven't looked at what pregnancy rates look like today in young teenagers, but I'm hoping that there is a shift and a decline in that. But anyway, back then there was so much that as I was growing up, what I was seeing wasn't making me interested in wanting to become a mother. Later on down the line, finding out that, that maternal instinct wasn't built into me. I missed that one in the basket, but that was okay, because I'm birthing other things, and it doesn't always have to be a child, because there's so many things that we can birth in life. And so when I went to x-ray school, I found a whole nother world. I mean, I left the south side of where I was living, and now I'm on the north side, and there's a whole different world there. And, being young and always being in certain perimeters, grid lines of your neighborhood, of where you grow up, and certain ranges as far as you can go, unless you're really going to get on the bus. But when I did that, I only went downtown. And so now I'm in a business market and seeing again, hustle and bustle. But so here I am now. I went to x-ray school, and I'm working in the hospital, and I'm actually watching all these senior techs having pregnancies and discussing the creations of the birthing room and how they want to do it. And they're wearing their maternity clothes and they're making it look like such a beautiful thing. And it's very far from what I've seen in young pregnancies. So to see that, wow, there really is a real world to this. And sometimes I think that with our society today, we just see it so nonstop that we forget to understand the seriousness of this event. I mean, it can be such an assault on a woman's body, and this needs to be women need to recover with support. And especially, again, because I was saying that we didn't think that we were going to live so much longer, and with technology that has changed so much of our structure, and with so many unexpected surprises coming back into the family living, where it used to be just the family and the kids, right? But now you have the parents coming back home, or you have adult teenagers, children coming back home. So a lot of things change on the woman's role, besides her really investing herself into her job, immersing herself to develop and get into leadership and grow. And so that technology and those changes, and there's just so much. So when this pregnancy happens, we were so used to, I guess you would say, kind of numb to see that there's really this assault. I mean, and by having the support, there's a reduction in postpartum depression for the woman. I mean, her healing becomes so much faster because of the shared caregiving that reduces that maternal stress. Then you have the faster recovery, where women, because they have time to sleep a little more, and during sleeping times is a more healing time for the body. So when that happens, because of the support, having two people at home engaging in this, there's so much more worth in, as we always say, our health is our wealth. It's not just wealth of money, because that once we lose our health, money may be able to provide a little comforting in the situation, but it could never support and really pay for what illnesses is really are taking place. So, having that good sleep quality is so important to a woman to have in her healing time at this time. Then better breastfeeding outcomes. Now that's really interesting, because probably, they get to eat better, they get to nourish themselves better because they've relaxed. And again, the body was healing and the milk is really percolating in there in a more natural and not such a fast-paced thing. Because remember, women only have maybe 3 months off, right? So they're really, lack of sleep, they're in a hurry. They have a lot to think about and a lot to do. And this is why they get to increase in exercise and self-care. A lot of times, these are all the things that women have to neglect. And, then you see them and they're just so frazzled. And it's just, so comforting to know, especially if you have partners in your life, how much fun it is. I mean, for me, if my husband's doing the dishes, I love it. I mean, I like doing dishes, I really do. But to see him doing the dishes just to help me out, just so we could hurry up and go watch a program we want to see or something. I mean, having that kind of connection in the kitchen, when he helps me do things, I mean, if there is bond and it's so much fun, and it really does engage into having a better relationship, and it does provide that support. And during this time, when women are going through this assault on their bodies, you have to remember there's a mental state also. And this reduces, when the partner is there on their leave, it reduces the anxiety and isolation that mothers, it gives them more confidence. And when their partners are, actively involved. Just like I said, it's really fun when you can see them supporting you and helping you instead of, the men coming home and just, again, old cultures and where I come from, I mean, it was just they come home and, that meal should be on the table because they worked all day, and they just got to do what they do. But then, it's up to us girls and the mother, we come clean up and take care of everything. Well, a lot of that has changed. And especially because, like I said, we have living in a faster world. And paternity, it's not just about giving dads time off. It's about reshaping how we think about parenting, work, and the gender roles, because these are so important for our world today. The rewiring of a biological invitation to bond. That's what this all is. And, by the emotional attunement that comes into men living closely with their pregnant partner, this biologically, it's a priming in men for caregiving. I mean, studies show that changes in the brain structures and functions, especially in areas that relate to empathy. Again, these are mechanisms that are built in men that, whether they know it or not, these are the things that take place. This is a cellular calling. I mean, I just love all these cool terms because even when I speak on women's health and hormones, throughout my podcast that I've been discussing, it's been issues that women go through with hormonal changes and things. I've never really gotten into the real structures of each hormone and how it takes place in our bodies and what it all means. But in this case, again, because we won't be talking a lot about men and their hormones, my whole meaning for this conversation is just to bring information for the awareness so that this can be applied in the workplace, either to raise the units of communication in the workplace with HR and the leaders to bring more paternity leave. I mean, men actually have more productivity in this once they have that paternity leave. They actually stay a little more dedicated to the job after paternity leave. There's so many cool things that really take place because men have a different influence inside them now. There's a whole change that has taken place. And with this cellular calling, it's why men should stop giving the industry back billions. I mean, we lose. For paternity leave, we should develop the norm. Do you know, I was telling you, out of 193 countries, right? Well, Sweden over time has created this paternity leave that for the men there, 87%, it's just a natural thing. I guess when they find out that their wife is pregnant, they already know that they're going to be signing up for that package to get on their paternity leave. 87% of men in Sweden approve and accept this. I mean, that's just amazing because then you have Japan. They have a very generous program, but the statistics show that there are not a lot of, there's not a lot of men that actually take advantage of this. So, then that leads us into, a cultural account, the support of cultures, how this actually takes place. And what we need to do to make this more of a norm thing. I mean, when guys, we're going to get into a little bit of their hormones because when they have this paternity stimulation of a hormone connection. I mean, women, we all know that if you're in a group of girls, and we're all hanging out. If I got my menstrual, I know there goes my girlfriend, Maria, and she's saying, oh my gosh, did Darlene get hers next? Because then that means I'm next because we're in this cycle, because we're so hormonally connected in that way. Our hormones really talk and we listen. And next thing you know, if that next person knows, okay, there's the marker, she's got it, I should be coming any 2 weeks from now or whatever. And this is kind of a stimulation trigger that happens in men. Their testosterone, it actually drops. It drops to reduce aggression. You believe that? And increases in their nurturing. I mean, it helps men become more nurturing, and that is just crazy because we've always known men to be testosterone, and we know that women and with testosterone it's a really strength builder, right? It's showing strength, and it's got even in a female, because we don't have a lot of testosterone because it's a more of a masculine thing. It's an hormone, an androgen hormone, instead of the female hormone. But it's a small amount that we're given, just like guys are given a small amount of estrogen. There's this estradiol. But so this testosterone actually drops, and that's for nurturing everything in their hormones. And it's wild when I read this, how they change to condition the man into being a more nurturing, a more caregiving instinct. And I was like, wow, because women, our hormones fluctuate so much. And honestly, when we get into some high estrogen levels and things like that, we get a little kind of, stronger in our attitude and could be crabbier or meaner. I mean, we all fluctuate different. And even in men with their hormones, everybody's going to be different on how this reaction takes place in them. So then we have this prolactin. Prolactin is the production of the milk factory in women. But in men, it actually rises. It rises in expectant fathers. Again, this is going to be so interesting if guys are listening to this, because it's believed to enhance that emotional sensitivity. I mean, that's what I'm saying, that these different supports are actually changing to soften and support instincts. Cortisol, women, we're in high stress levels. I mean, cortisol can be good, when we have an injury, to help with inflammation and help, fix the injury that we have. It rushes there, it turns red, it inflames, and that's because, everybody's in there fighting and getting ready to attack whatever's we cut open or what have you. But in cortisol in men, some studies, and they suggest that there's a spike in response to infant distress. I mean, I was like, wow, that's really crazy, that infant distress. And then it drops during the soothing, like when the baby's, relaxing and cooing, and it's reinforcing the caregiving. It's crazy about this cortisol. And then the estradiol, that's that estrogen that I was talking about, and that actually drops. So most hormones in men actually rise, but this one, it drops, and that's because that estradiol is more of it drops in men because of their how would you say this? The partner's pregnancy, since it can influence libido and aggression. So it drops, and in the reduction, it supports a calmer and more focused role. So I was like, wow, it's really crazy how, and men have been shifting like this and going through that, and well, I've never heard about it. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. I just started hearing about it, and they said the study's really only been maybe about more than 10 years. Even McKinsey, the research data, global research data group, has spoken on this subject, and that's really interesting also. So we'll be talking about that on this next podcast. But we're getting back into the oxytocin. Now that's like that feel-good part of us. And with men, it rises. It rises when they're playing with the baby and when they're having that physical contact, deepening that emotional connection. So, I mean, that's just like a feel good thing. And progesterone, I was talking about, there's not a big study on men with progesterone. So it's not a big practice on that study. So they believe that it really kind of stays stable, or through other studies in men, it may play a role in emotional regulating and bonding. So with all that happening, we all need a pause, and men don't really understand that. And this is why I wanted to bring this out, bring this attention to you, because these shifts, they're not just chemical, they're neurobiological rewiring that primes a man for empathy, presence, and protection. I mean, that is a lot of power. And to think that those hormones that they're carrying around have actually, they're listening to us and they react with us, and it's just so cool. And this is why, again, I talk about this $1 billion surrender. Why would we could actually take that and use that to support? Because men, I mean, I know, again, watching my father, I mean, he worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked. And then when his company, after he had been there for, I forgot how long, but they were leaving the country, as other companies did a long time ago, he went and found another job. Oh, he actually went to school and became a mechanic. So then he went to become a mechanic. So he was doing this while I was going to x-ray school. So that was a cool time. We're both at the table doing homework. That was crazy for me. I mean, my father, he's sitting there with me doing his homework. So that was fun. But then after that, a couple of years of that wasn't for him anymore. Then he went and got another cool job. So men, they're always doing this, and not, because again, it's from one shift to the other. It's just in between a straight dash, where if you look at our graph, and there's no straight dash. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down, until finally it all comes to that pausal end and into the post pause part of our lives. But it actually reacts and brings us back into who we are, and even better, because we've washed through all that. We let our bodies as females do what it had to do, and we went with the flow. And unfortunately, there's a lot of digression, and my whole study in my modern menopause consultancy is all about getting you into progression, building. I mean, at this age, especially 6th decade, I mean, it's a lot of fun. And it's because the more you progress and look into yourself and prepare ahead of time how to activate our lives, so that when we do wash away all that and we come back to ourselves, we are so much more vibrant, energetic, and the vitality is just crazy. But men, their nature, they have this built-in mechanism to help men become a better father, whether they realize it or not. This is why I say there is power in the pause. Fatherhood Rewired is a moment of leave and a lifetime of impact. And this is really what I want to leave you with until we can come back and talk about some more of this, because it is a very interesting, so much to talk about. It's so much statistics to give you, and really to really condition you and make you aware. I mean, information making and bringing you awareness. My biggest thing was that Fatherhood Rewired. It's a moment of leave and a lifetime of impact. And that's what men are all about in the family, making that impact. And I'm hoping in through these conversations that I share and bringing this information, we are headed to create a change for women in the workplace. And now we know that the males can also use a pause time to check out, so that they can really check in at home, be there, because we haven't even talked about the support that the children receive, the confidence that they gain because of all that holding and touching. I did talk about it a little bit on our last conversation, because I was talking about my book and, the girl dad and everything, and how that's all rising. So by really understanding that, the more we talk about this, the more into the male hormone empathy. And the more, I don't know if you've ever met different, maybe you could correlate it today, because I know now that I see certain men that I've talked to and certain men that I grew up with and wonder, why is he so different? And why were they so different? And now I can see and relate that he was so different because he was raising his daughter. So he was building all that hormonal empathy, caregiving, presence, and protection and change. Whereas the male who did not have that deeper connection and involvement, and it's not because they were avoiding the woman or anything, they just didn't know, because again, the structure has always been men go to work, women are at home. So by them missing out, it wasn't really that they knew that they were missing out, from their prenatal paternal attachment. They didn't know that. And so this is why this conversation today is so important for me, to bring the emotional attachment, because it matters. There is a connection, and not directly, but when those hormones change, the proximity during pregnancies, again, it's not about the age, because I wondered about that, because men who are having children at an older age, actually, they kind of get bombarded with both, because they're going to go through their andropause, but they're actually having a shift in their hormones also. So that's a cool, different discussion that I was like, wow, because I needed to know, where does the line get drawn at? And cohabiting with pregnant partners can biologically stimulate so many hormonal changes, and regardless of the age. So I just want to leave you with the idea that this is a real thing. And the more we can bring this to that $1 billion surrender and stop giving back the money and really taking that time to pause, to shift our brains and mentality, and really combine it together in that partnership, to see women having better mental healing, so that they're not going through a lot of mood swings and a lot of breakdowns on the assault of their body. This is a cellular calling, and this is why, again, I say we should stop giving the industry back the billions we lose for paternity leave. And with that, I just want to thank you again for joining me today. I hope this is going to start becoming some kind of bell ringers. And even with women who are pregnant today, understanding and seeing that the closer they can bring their partners in, the more hormonal shifts that are going to take place, the more harmony that can be at home, and the better building of the equality of our generation gaps that have always separated us, but now we can bring it together, because again, technology has changed our lives a lot, and so we need to adjust with it. It's not just letting this all roll by because history has repeated itself, because it's repeating itself. It's not repeating itself. We're trying to create that change. So everyone, thank you so much. Thank you, prconnectionsradio.com, for allowing me again to have this voice, to bring this, to speak on behalf of women in the workplace, to build stronger women, because again, we are taking over. We do want that leadership. We do want both worlds. And so far we've been handling it, but to know we can really get through it if our partners are standing right behind us, working through it with us. There's so much they're going to learn. And as I said, in Sweden, it's a normal thing. So a moment to leave is a lifetime of impact. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by NVisionU. NVisionU has discovered how to impact spirit, body, and soul with spray technology in just 30 seconds. With NVisionU, you can achieve optimal health and start living the life you have always dreamed of. Use the promo code NVisionU.com/VernDix to take control of your health naturally. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.